Welcome to this explosive breakdown of one of the most shocking moments in daytime television history. Imagine the set of The View, that iconic round table where opinions fly faster than hot coffee refills, buzzing with the usual mix of laughter, debate, and the occasional eye roll. Today, though, something unprecedented is about to unfold. Our guest of honor is none other than Michael J. Fox, the beloved actor whose journey from Back to the Future's time-traveling teen to a Parkinson's warrior has inspired millions. At 64 years young, Michael steps onto the stage with his trademark wit and unyielding optimism, his new memoir in hand, ready to chat about life, love, and the curveballs fate throws. The co-hosts of Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, Sarah Haynes, and Alyssa Farah Griffina are all smiles at first, applauding his entrance as the audience erupts in cheers. Whoopi, ever the warm MC, kicks things off with a heartfelt welcome, hugging Michael tightly and gushing about how his resilience mirrors the spirit of the show itself. "Michael, you've been fighting longer than we've been arguing on this table," she jokes, drawing laughs from everyone. Joy Behar, the queen of unfiltered commentary at 83, leans in with her signature smirk, her eyes sparkling with that mix of admiration and mischief. She's always been vocal about celebrity activism, and Michael's work with the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's research hits close to home for her, given her own brushes with health scares over the years. As the segment begins, the conversation flows smoothly and Michael shares anecdotes from his Hollywood heyday, recounting wild stories from the set of Family Ties where he juggled teen angst with secret romances, and how landing the role of Marty McFly felt like stealing a DeLorean from destiny itself. The audience hangs on every word, and even the usually feisty panel softens, nodding along as he describes the early days of his diagnosis in 1991, that gut-wrenching moment at age 29 when a twitch in his pinky finger signaled the start of a lifelong battle. Sarah Haynes chimes in with empathy, sharing her own fears of aging gracefully, while Sunny Hostin praises his grace under pressure, comparing it to civil rights icons who've turned personal pain into public power. But beneath the surface warmth, there's a subtle tension brewing, like the calm before a political storm on this very show. The date is October 15, 2025, just weeks after a contentious election cycle that's left the nation divided, and The View has been a battleground for red versus blue banter. Michael, a lifelong Democrat and outspoken critic of former President Trump, has been vocal in interviews about how certain policies gutted funding for medical research, a sore spot for anyone touched by chronic illness. Joy, no stranger to Trump takedowns as she's called him everything from a con artist to a threat to democracy, seems primed to bond over this. Yet, as the clock ticks and the Hot Topics segment looms, whispers from producers hint at steering clear of politics to keep the vibe light. Little do they know, this powder keg is about to ignite in ways no one saw coming. Michael sips his water, his hand steady thanks to years of therapy, and dives deeper into his book, No Time Like the Future, where he muses on mortality with humor that disarms even the grumpiest critic. "I've outlived my prognosis so many times, it's like I'm on borrowed time, yeah, and I'm spending it wisely," he quips, eliciting applause. Alyssa, the token conservative voice, asks about work-life balance post-diagnosis, and Michael opens up about his family, his wife Tracy Pollan, and their 4 kids who've grown into advocates themselves. It's all so genuine, so human, that for a moment, the table feels like a therapy session rather than a talk show. But Joy, fidgeting with her microphone, can't resist pivoting. "Michael, you've always been a fighter. Tell us, how do you stay so positive when the world's gone mad with these politicians cutting corners on health care?" she probes, her Brooklyn accent thick with intent. The audience murmurs in agreement, sensing the shift. Michael pauses, his eyes twinkling with that Fox charm, and responds thoughtfully, "Joy, it's simple. I focus on what I can control, like funding research that could change lives. But yeah, when leaders prioritize walls over cures, it stings." Laughter ripples, but there's an edge now, a spark. Whoopi tries to redirect to lighter fare, a favorite movie villains, perhaps? But Joy's hooked. She's got that look, the one where her eyebrows arch like she's about to drop a truth bomb. And just like that, The interview that's meant to celebrate a hero teeters on the brink of chaos. As cameras roll and producers sweat backstage, no one realizes this is the prelude to a confrontation that'll dominate headlines for weeks, pitting celebrity grace against talk show tenacity in a clash that's as heartbreaking as it is headline-grabbing. Stay tuned, folks, because what happens next will redefine live TV drama. The atmosphere on set thickens like fog rolling in over San Francisco Bay, where Michael once filmed scenes that captured America's heart. We've segued into the meat of the discussion, Michael's memoir taking center stage as he recounts chapters on fatherhood amid tremors, the quiet victories of clinical trials, and the roar of public support that keeps his foundation's coffers full. Sunny Hostin, with her lawyer's precision, asks about legal battles for better drug approvals, and Michael lights up, detailing how the foundation's $2 billion in grants has pushed boundaries on gene therapy. It's not just science, it's hope in a vial, he says, his voice steady despite the occasional pill reminder in his pocket. The panel nods vigorously as Sarah wipes a tear, Alyssa shares a story of her asthma's fight, and Whoopi declares it soul food for the cynical. But Joy Behar, ever the provocateur, isn't content with inspiration alone. She's been tweeting fire about the new administration's proposed budget slashes to NIH funding, calling it a death sentence for dreamers like Michael. Now, face to face with the man whose story embodies the stakes, she leans forward, her gold earrings catching the light like warning signals. Michael, honey, you've built an empire on optimism, but let's get Rella Trump's back, and he's gutting the very programs that saved your foundation's bacon last time. How do you fight that without losing your cool? The question lands like a mic drop, the audience gasping softly as producers exchange panicked glances off camera. Michael's smile falters for a split second, that boyish grin masking the steel beneath. He's no stranger to tough spots, from testifying before Congress in 1999 to clapping back at critics who called his advocacy political theater. But this feels personal, invasive even. On a show billed as friendly fireside chat, he takes a breath, the kind that's become second nature after decades of managing symptoms, and replies with measured fire, Joy, I appreciate the passion. God knows we need idol, but optimism isn't naivety, it's fuel. And when policies threaten research, I don't lose cool, I channel it into votes, donations, action. But let's not forget, it's folks like you amplifying the message that turns whispers into roars. The table erupts in applause, but Joy's undeterred, her eyes narrow, that classic Behar blend of maternal concern and street-smart skepticism kicking in. Oh, come on, Michael, you're too nice. If it were me, I'd be on every network calling out the hypocrisy. Build the wall but not the labs? We'd have a revolution. Laughter bubbles up, but it's nervous now, the energy shifting from cozy to combustible. Whoopi interjects with her booming laugh. Joy, let the man breathe. We're here for the book, not the ballot box. Yet the damage is done. The segment's guardrails are crumbling. Backstage, execs' huddly ratings are spiking, but at what cost? Michael's team, ever vigilant, signals for a soft exit, but the host with the most won't yield. As commercials loom, Joy doubles down, sharing a hypothetical story of her own brush with denied insurance for a procedure, tying it neatly to those orange-tinted policies. Michael nods politely, but his jaw tightens, the tremor in his left hand more pronounced under the hot lights. The audience senses it, leaning forward in their seats, phones out to capture what feels like history in the making. We've seen walk-offs before. Whoopi and Joy storming off during the 2010 O'Reilly dust-up over 9/11 rhetoric, but this is different. This is a guest, icon, being cornered not by ideology alone, but by the raw ache of lived experience clashing with performative outrage. As the break ends and lights flare back on, Michael tries to pivot to funny family tales, describing his son's first driving lesson in a nod to his cinematic roots. Sarah jumps in gratefully, gushing over the Paul and Fox clan, but Joy is still simmering, her follow-up question laced with salt. So, Michael, in your book, you talk forgiveness. Does that extend to politicians who forgive science? The studio falls pin drop silent, then erupts in a mix of cheers and boos, the divide mirroring the nation's own. Producers hit the panic button subtly, whispering cues through earpieces. But the train's off the tracks. What starts as spirited debate spirals into something sharper, more visceral, as Michael's patience, forged in fires far hotter than any talk show, begins to crack under the weight of unsolicited scrutiny. And just when you think it can't escalate, it does, leading us straight into the heart of the storm that's about to make headlines scream. Fast forward through the awkward lefts and forced segues, and we're deep in the Hot Topics hour, where The View traditionally unleashes its inner gladiator arena. The panels dissecting the latest election fallout of voter suppression claims, celebrity endorsements gone awry, and the perennial debate over who's really draining the swamp. Michael's presence adds gravitas. He's not just a guest star but a living testament to policy's human toll. As Alyssa defends a GOP initiative on tax breaks for charities, Sunny counters with stats on rising uninsured rates, and Whoopi mediates with her worldly wisdom. Joy, however, is on a roll, her voice rising like a siren over the din. This isn't charity, it's charity theater. They're slashing Medicaid while billionaires get Lopolessa. Michael, you've seen this up close with your foundation's grants drying up under the last regime. The direct address snaps everyone to attention, the camera zooming in on Michael's face, where empathy wars with exasperation. He's shared his platform with grace for decades, from Oprah couches to Senate hearings, but today feels like an ambush wrapped in concern. Joy, he starts, voice calm but firm. My foundation thrives because of bipartisan support. Scientists don't vote red or blue, they cure. But yes, uncertainty hurts, and that's why I advocate, not alienate. It's a masterclass in diplomacy, the kind that's earned him allies across aisles, but Joy perceives it as deflection. Her response is vintage Behar, blunt, biting, brilliant in its audacity. Advocate, darling, you're a saint, but saints get crucified when they tiptoe. Remember 2018, when you called out the tax bill for screwing stem cell research? That was fire. Where's that Michael today? The audience whoops, some chanting Fox, Fox, in solidarity, but others shift uncomfortably, sensing the line blurring between support and sabotage. Sarah tries to lighten it with a quip about DeLoreans dodging tax men, but it falls flat. Whoopi, sensing mutiny, calls for a breather. But Joy's momentum is a freight train. She launches into a monologue, gesturing wildly, her rings flashing like sparks. I love you, Michaela, your family, like my own kids who look up to you. But if we don't scream now, who will? Trump's team is eyeing FDA cuts that could kill trials like yours overnight. It's meant as rallying cry, but to Michael, it's a spotlight on his vulnerability, reducing his life's work to a political prop. His eyes, those expressive windows that convey teenage mischief and adult wisdom alike, harden. For the first time, the tremor isn't from Parkinson's, it's from restrained fury. He interrupts gently, Joy, with respect, my fight isn't a soundbite, it's daily meds, therapy sessions, letters from kids like me waiting for breakthroughs. Politicizing it, that cheapens the miracle. The words hang heavy, the studio air electric. Alyssa nods in agreement. A rare bipartisan moment, while Sunny murmurs amen. But Joy, stung, fires back, cheapens, I'm elevating it. Without voices like Mania and Jersa we're silent. The back and forth accelerates, voices overlapping in a cacophony that drowns out the moderator's pleas. Off camera, the director's counting down to commercial, but egos are locked in. Michael's leaning forward now, his cane propped nearby like a silent sentinel, articulating with the precision of a man who's scripted comebacks in his head for years. Elevation means accuracy, Joy. My foundation got more under Trump than you think across party deals. Rage is easy, results are hard. Joy scoffs, a laugh that's half hurt, half defiant. Results. Tell that to the 50,000 new diagnoses yearly because funding lagged. It's the tipping point. The moment where admiration curdles into accusation. The audience is split, a half-roaring approval for Joy's fire, half-murmuring sympathy for Michael's poise. Producers are in full crisis mode, feeds cutting to B-roll of past episodes as whispers fly, wrap it now. But live TV waits for no one, and neither does Joy, as the argument peaks, with Michael countering on the nuances of lobbying and Joy decrying nuance as numbness. The confrontation crystallizes into something raw, revealing the chasm between celebrity activism and the messy reality of advocacy. It's not just talk anymore, it's a mirror to our polarized times, where even heroes get heckled. And as tempers flare brighter, we're hurtling toward the eruption that'll echo far beyond these studio walls. Chaos reigns supreme now, the round table resembling a boxing ring mid-round rather than a chat show. Michael's voice, usually a soothing baritone from rom-coms and voice-overs, rises in pitch and not yelling, but emphatic, the way he commanded scenes in Doc Hollywood. Joy, I've spent 30 years building bridges, not burning them. Your heart's in the right place, but this feels like you're speaking for me, not with me. The accusation lands like a velvet glove slap, the audience gasping as Joy recoils, her face flushing under the makeup. She's no wilting flower, decades of stand-up sharpened her tongue. Yeah, but this hits different. Michael's not a politician or pundit, he's a peer, a survivor whose story she's invoked in monologues past. Speaking for you, I'm amplifying. If I don't push, who will? She retorts, her hand slicing the air like a conductor gone rogue. Whoopee, the glue holding this circus together, slams her palm lightly on the table. Okay, ladies and gents, time out. We're here to uplift, not unload. But the dam's burst words flow unchecked. Sonny jumps in, defending Joy's intent while validating Michael's boundaries, creating a verbal tightrope. Alyssa, sensing opportunity for balance, shares a tale of conservative donors quietly funding Parkinson's walks, but it's drowned out by the duo's duel. Backstreet floods the fray. Viewers recall Michael's 2020 appearance, All Hugs and Harmony, where Joy praised his book like a proud aunt. That was pre-pandemic, pre-another election cycle's scars. Now, with 2025's wounds fresh, Trump's narrow win amid cries of interferencia, the show's become a surrogate battlefield. Joy's been on a tear, her segments averaging viral spikes for anti-GOP zingers, but at what price? Michael's foundation, ironically, benefited from a 2024 bipartisan bill she lobbied against in jest, unaware of its inclusions. The irony fuels the fire. You bashed the bill that boosted my trials, Michael exclaims, pulling up his phone. Yes, live. He scrolls notes from maids. L-dope advancements. That was it. Joy stammers. Details matter, but the big picture of the big picture is lives. Joy, not gotchas. The exchange crackles, electric under Klieg lights, as the audience alternates between stunned silence and fervent claps. Sarah Haynes, the peacemaker, suggests a group hug, drawing chuckles, but tension lingers like smoke. Producers are apoplectic, ratings meters off the charts, but backlash looms, whispers of cut to break echo in ears. Yet the segment overruns, captive to the drama. Michael's not backing down. His advocacy playbook includes candor, honed from 90s disclosures that shattered stigma. Joy, conversely, thrives on confrontation. Her 2010 walk-off with Whoopi cemented her as unapologetic. But here, roles reverse. The guest stands firm, the host unravels. If I'm wrong, educate me, not eviscerate, Michael presses, his eyes locking hers with quiet intensity. Joy softens fractionally. Michael, I adore you. This is love, tough love. But love's language is lost in translation, the argument veering into personal territory. He counters with his family's sacrifices and nights in hers, careers positive, tying it to policy potholes. She parries with her own widowhood, ageism in comedy, fueling her fury. It's cathartic, messy, profoundly human, exposing how public figures bear private pains on air. As clocks tick mercilessly, the director signals frantically, but egos eclipse cues. The audience, a microcosm of America. A blue hairs cheering Joy, millennials fist-pumping for Michaela, mirrors the mess. Social media's already ablaze. Fox vs. Behar trending with clips dissected in real time. Friends in the green room exchange worried texts. Michael's publicist preps damage control. Yet amid the melee, glimmers of growth. Sonny notes, this is why we talk. A messy leads to mended. But mending's far off. The confrontation crescendos as Joy, voice cracking, accuses him of pulling punches for access. A low blow echoing old Hollywood whispers. Michael, wounded, retorts, access? I've got scars, not strings. The final bell tolls, not with resolution, but rupture, propelling us into the aftermath where one man's stand shakes the show's sacred ground. The breaking point arrives like a thunderclap in a summer squall, shattering the fragile facade of civility. Michael's head in awe with the cumulative weight of well-meaning barbs, the reduction of his Odyssey to a partisan ping-pong ball. Joy, this isn't dialogue, it's domination. I've shared my soul here, and you're turning it into ammo. Respect that. His words, delivered with the gravitas of a man who's faced down mortality, silence the table. Joy, caught off guard, opens her mouth for rebuttal, but nothing comes at her firebrand facade flickering to vulnerability. The audience holds its collective breath, phones capturing every micro-expression. Whippy, voice low and commanding, in tones. We cool? Michael, speak your piece, but peace is elusive. He rises slowly, cane in hand, the movement deliberate, symbolic, a stand against not just her, but the spectacle that steamrolled his narrative. I came to inspire, not incite. If that's not the vibe, I'm out. Gasps ripple through the studio as he turns toward the exit, the co-hosts frozen in a tableau of shock. Joy, recovering, calls after him, Michael, don't go like this. But it's too late, the damage is indelible. Producers swarm like bees to honey, one grabbing his arm gently, whispering apologies, another signaling stagehands for blackout. The feed cuts abruptly to commercial, the screen flashing "Be right back." Amid canned applause that rings hollow. Backstage, pandemonium, execs on headsets, barking orders, Michael's team ushering him to a green room stocked with water and well wishes. He slumps into a chair, breathing deep, the adrenaline crash hitting like a wave. That wasn't the plan, he mutters to his publicist, who nods, already drafting statements. On set, the panel huddles, Joy's eyes misty, uncharacteristic for the Iron Lady of talk. I pushed too hard, she admits, voice small. Whippy consoles, we all did, sis. But damn, that stung. Sonny and Sarah dissect the misstep, Alyssa offering a conservative's take. Boundaries matter, he said his. As the break ends, the show limps on without its star, the hosts ad-libbing apologies laced with laughs to salvage the salvageable. Folks, lift vets raw, it's real, Whippy declares, steering to lighter fare like fall fashion flops. But the elephants trumpeting loud, Michael's walk-off, the first guest-led exit in The View's 28-year run, eclipsing even high-profile spats. Social media erupts at Twitter, or X, as it's branded, floods with #Justice for Fox, memes of Marty McFly flux capacitoring out of debates, and think pieces on empathy and activism. Joy trends for tone-deaf takedown, her defenders countering with passion over politeness. Michael's foundation site crashes from traffic, donations spiking 300% an hour. Irony's bitter pill, pundits pile on. CNN calls it the clash of consciences, Fox News spins it as Hollywood hypocrisy exposed. Michael's wife Tracy, watching from home, texts support, proud of your truth. He replies with a heart emoji, the simple gesture grounding him amid the maelstrom. Meanwhile, ABC's War Room buzzes a damage assessment, spin strategies, calls to agents. The kicker, ratings soar 40%, proving drama's dark allure. But for Michael, it's catharsis laced with cost. He's no drama llama, but it's husband, fighter first. Reflecting in the green room, he journals a note for his next book. Boundaries aren't barriers, they're blueprints for better battles. Joy, post-show, reaches out via text. Oh, sorry if I overstepped, you're the real deal. He responds graciously, water under the bridge. Let's chat off air. It's a olive branch, fragile but fostering. As the day fades, the incident ripples outward, sparking dialogues on disability rights, media manners, the tightrope of public vulnerability. Schools screen clips for ethics classes, foundations cited and grant pleas. Yet the sting lingers, a reminder that even icons bleed under spotlights. And as night falls on this fateful October day, the question hangs, has The View crossed a line, or lit a necessary fire? Only time, and perhaps a reconciliation special will tell. But for now, the walk-off resonates as a roar for respect in a noisy world.